phones?
On?
Yes, please everyone silence your cell phones.
I'm on now. Thank you very much for being here to join us.
All right, Heinz, let's start out with your early family life. When were you born?
I was born in July 1929.
So who can do the math? You're 95 years old.
Yes, plus.
Yes, terrific. And where were you born?
I was born in was called Free City State of Danzig. It was between Germany and Poland at that time. Now it's under Poland and called Gdansk. The culture in Danzig was German and the language was German. And also we had a Nazi, when I was growing up, the people in charge were Nazis. They were very ferocious too, as well as the German variety.
So tell us about your family and your siblings.
Yes, I had one sister and one brother.
And what did your parents do for a living?
Yeah, my wife, my mother was a housewife, and my father was involved in the shoe business, in leather and shoe business.
And these are some pictures of what Danzig looked like at the time.
Yeah, that was the synagogue.
That was your synagogue.
Yeah, that was my parents.
Those are your parents?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
That was my sister. She was older than I was. 4 years older. Yeah, that was myself, my mother, and my sister.
So what was school like for you when you were growing up?
School was, when I started school in 1935, the Jews in Danzig could no longer go to the regular school system, so we had our own, the Jewish Family and Children's Service Agency established its own school system for Jews. So that's what my experience was as far as that goes. Now, the point is here that although the school was Jewish, the Nazi government in Danzig subsidized that school. So you might ask why. I don't know. They probably wanted the Jews to get excited, to get educated, and eventually establish entrance examination to concentration camps.
You'll see that Heinz has a very good sense of humor. So, when the Nazis took over, what happened?
Well,
And
Nazis took over, I think, in 1933, and that's what everything started to. Now you see, the Danzig Nazis wanted to show to Hitler that they were worthy of him, so they followed all his rules and regulations. So we were under that situation. So
and this image of Der Stürmer.
Oh yeah,
What
Der Stürmer.
What did that do?
Yeah, that was the anti-Semitic paper. They showed caricatures of you can see of a Jew and so forth, and so he was very much involved in riling up the people against Jews, essentially. That's what it was all about.
And right now in our propaganda exhibit, there's an actual copy of Der Stürmer in there in the propaganda exhibit. So this is Hitler in Danzig after the invasion.
Oh yes, you see how enthusiastic the people were at that time, you know, for Hitler, you know, in Danzig.
Mm-hmm. And could you attend school then?
Um,
Did you still attend school after this happened?
Oh yes, yeah. Well, in 1930, I went to school in 1935. Started school in 1930 at the age of six, and then eventually, as it progressed, the anti-Semitism progressed. Fewer and fewer people, Jews. We all tried to find a place to get out too, you know, as far as that goes. So we, at least I went up to the third grade.
And what did your father think at the beginning? Did you think that you guys would be safe?
No, my father, well, at the episode that prompted him to leave was a Kristallnacht, night of the broken glass, and at that time they arrested him and sent him to a work camp, you know, and so he was for 6 months. So that's I had a schedule.
No, you're good. So he was at Stutthof.
Yeah, Stutthof. At that time, it was a work camp before it was escalated to a concentration camp.
And this is where Stutthof was located.
Yeah, was it Danzig? Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so that was very difficult, forced labor.
So he was there for 6 months, and then he was released. And then he knew, he came out and he said, these people are going to kill us. We have to leave. You know, there's no doubts about it. Many, especially the older Jews, they were already established in Germany, you know, and in Danzig. So they had a hard time leaving because they would have to start from scratch if they went to another country, you know. So, and of course, there was a big problem. If you leave, the Jews, if they left Germany or Danzig, they had to turn all our possessions over to the Nazi government, which Danzig or in Germany, you know. So it was very difficult to find a place to go to because you would arrive without any monies. Who would, you know? Most countries had enough poor people of their own. They did not need us to be a burden on the society. So that was a big problem. So if nobody lets you in, so you know, where can you go? You know, so that was the big problem, and we all faced at that time.
So here's a list of personal items that your sister had.
If you leave, you all have to declare every item, you know, that you took with us, even a handkerchief, you know. You were not only allowed to take so much, a small suitcase per person. That was the other problem, of course, you know. That's how we left, penniless and you know, stateless. But actually, yeah, that's what it was.
So how did this get here?
I don't know. It's a Torah.
No, what's it?
I got it. I tell you. You see that pointer? That was my father's Torah pointer. He used to have religious episodes, believe it or not. You know? So when he did have those episodes, he had a pointer that he. Now the pointer was used in the Torah so you don't mess up the Torah with your sweaty hands, you know, then, especially in the summer. So that was the reason for the Torah to Torah pointed. Now we had to leave that by we could not take that as silver. You see, we were not allowed to take anything like that, especially jewelry and gold and silver. But my sister, who was older, she thought she was smart to pull something over the Nazis. She hid it in her suitcase, and she got away with it, you know. And it took many years after she died. She lived in Italy, by the way. She stayed in Italy because she married the underground, the commander of the underground. I'm ahead of schedule.
Yeah, we'll tell that later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll tell you. Anyway, so she remained in Italy. So all of a sudden.
So she brought this Torah pointer out. Was that dangerous?
Oh yes, it was very dangerous. She was putting the whole family in danger. That was very dangerous to do. That's right.
And when did? So you donated this to the museum many
because-
years later.
Yeah,
And-
because after she died, her daughter in Italy sent it to me, and I said I don't want anything to do with it. So I said, "Here, you take to the museum, take it over." So, but anyway, that was the story of the Torah pointer, you know,
Very scary.
and the danger that were under, you know, by having that, you know, with us. The whole family would have been in danger.
Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful item, and that is in the museum in the first gallery. So you left and you started your journey. So
What is that?
you started your journey.
Yes. Oh yeah.
So where did you go?
Oh yeah. We had only papers. You see, we had false papers to go to South America, and we had temporary resident permit in Italy, because my father found out that of all of Europe, Italian people were not as anti-Semitic, so too anti-Semitic at all. You know, as a matter of fact, they were not. Most of them were not anti-Semitic. So he said, we have to get to Italy. So, and we had papers for two people. He and I were left first to go to Italy. And we went through Berlin, stopped in Berlin with my relatives over there. We told them what was going on, and they better get going, you know, as far as that goes, because it was very dangerous. It started being dangerous to stay in Germany.
Mm-hmm. And so you were in a town, I can't say it very well, or Bisaglia.
Okay. That was after my father was there Mussolini in Italy was told by Hitler to send Jews back to Germany, but Mussolini thought he was smart enough to he can establish his own concentration camps, Italian concentration camps, you see, in Italy. So that's why and Jewish families ended up, some Jewish families, the first Jewish families he sent to complete families, he sent to a concentration camp in southern Italy. But then he realized Mussolini it was too expensive to do that to whole family, because Italians would not deprive people to be without substance, so they had to feed them. In Italy, you know, it's not like in Germany or Poland, you know, where they were starving people. In Italy, they treated them quite well, you know, as far as and that cost a lot of money to do that, you know. So he realized, he figured it out, that from then on, he would only send to his concentration camps adult males, and I was not an adult male. So they took my father. He sent him to Central Italy, or Bisaglia, that's what it's called. It was a princely villa. They had the run of the whole place. They were quite well off there, you know. It should have happened to me, because we had to work in Milan, you know, to support ourselves, you know, because we didn't. But at that time, you see, Italy went to war, and there was room for people for young people like myself and my sister to work illegally. Who cared, you know? Because they needed people to work in Italy, everywhere, you know. The young people were in the service, in their army, to fight that war, you know, Second World War with Germany, you know. So that was the situation.
So you and your sister were working, and you had food.
Yeah, my youngest brother who's 7 years older. And my mother, she had to take care of him. My sister and I, we went to work. I was, you know, at that time, when was it? 42, 43, or whatever, 42. No, 41.
Yeah.
So.
10 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, how did your father, he moved to San Gini's?
Yeah. Now, here's another situation. He got bleeding ulcers from the wrong food. Although he got food, but they had very acidic food in Italy, as we know. So he could not take that. So he had bleeding ulcers. So what do they do with him? You know, they sent him to a hospital, of course. You know, it's natural for them to have done that. So anyway. So the doctors told him when he got out of the hospital, if you send him back to the concentration camp where the food is that acidic, you know, he would not be able to live. So they figured out that, well, we have to do something. What do? They declared him free intern. Instead of being interned there, they declared him free intern and sent him alone, you know, up in a mountain, up in a small village where he could not be close to the big city, because Jews were then considered dangerous, declared to be dangerous. Adult males Jews were considered to be dangerous. To be in the great cities could do some harm there, whatever harm they meant. But anyway, so that's what they sent him to this small village, very nice place, and they gave him a subsidy, money to live on, you know, and to rent a place, and so he was a free intern, so that he had a good time over there, you know. Yeah.
And then when he was feeling better, then he was working with leather?
He did.
Because that's what he knew?
Yeah, he knew. He helped the people out and they loved him, over there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a good time. And we were struggling in Milan, you know, with the rest of the family.
So you were there until September of 1943?
Then and after the bombardments, the Allied bombarded Italy, Milan, the big city. So we thought, and there was a Germans. Yeah. Anyway, I forgot which was first.
And so then when the Germans came to arrest your family, you fled and went to this place, Monastero.
We went to live with him for a while in 1942, and then the Germans occupied in 1943, right? 1943, when Italy quit its alliance with Germany, Hitler got upset, and when Hitler gets upset, he occupies the country, you know. So that's what happened to Italy. So then we were all of a sudden under German occupation, back to square one. So what do you do? So, you know, and eventually they came to look for us, the Germans, you know, came to look for us, and we fled to in the mountains in central Italy. You see the central part, central Italy, there's what is called the spine of Italy, the Apennine Mountains, you know, and so you cannot, where we went, we cannot drive up, you have to walk up, you know, so the Germans could not come with their vehicles up there, if they have to walk, you know, so that was not, they didn't like that either, so, but we went to join. When the Germans occupied Italy, the Italians got upset about that, and they went to the mountains to fight against the German occupation, you see. So that's what they did, and so we joined them, you know, and so that was to be safe.
So you were with the partisans.
Yes, we were with the partisan, for a while.
And what did you were a little boy still.
Yeah, I was young. They didn't have enough weapons, you know, to go around. So I asked the commander of the partisan for a job, you know, I wanted to do something to help him. So he gave me a job, and he at that time was engaged to my sister, you know, and so anyway. So he gave me a job, but the job consisted of organizing food supplies for the partisans, you know. It was not too difficult because it was because many of the farmers in the area, surrounding areas, outside the mountains, you know, were friendly, you know. So he told me, the commander told me, my sister got very upset about it because I had to get out of the mountains, which would be dangerous, you know, to do. But anyway, so he said, don't worry about it, he'll be okay. So I went out, and I knew how to walk. That was all to walk. There were no vehicles. So only people who had vehicles were the Germans and the Italian fascists, you know. So I knew how to walk on the street, on the roads, because if you hear a vehicle coming, you get off the road, you hide, you know, it's no big deal. So that's why I did. That's what I did. Anyway, so I told him. He told me which farmers were friendly, and to where to take the supplies near a farm, to a farm near the mountains, and then our people would go and pick up the food. I didn't have to carry anything, you know. So that's what that's what I did, you know. So at that time, I was already fluent. I grew up there, so I was already fluent in the language. That's why he sent me down, because I didn't have an accent, you know. Because if you have an accent, they were afraid, you know, the farmers, because the Germans, if the farmers helped anyone, for any foreigners, they would burn down their haystacks, you know. They would, you know, the farmers' haystack, and that was very dangerous for them, or even kill them, you know.
So they thought you were Italian and your name was
I
Enzo.
thought if they asked me, I didn't have the right, dialect. I told them I come from Milan. I was bombed out from in Milan, So, if they asked me for documents, I said my documents were, burned out or whatever, So you have all sorts of stories you can tell,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So then liberation
yes,
was May or June of 1944.
44, yeah.
And where did your family go then?
Yeah.
You go to a DP camp?
Oh yeah, we ended up in a couple of years later, in a DP camp in Milan. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
displaced person camp. Those were nice places to be, because run by UNRWA, United Nations, whatever at that time.
So what happened to your family? So now the war's over, you're in a DP camp, but you found out that a lot of your family members had been killed.
Oh
So
yeah,
this-
yeah,
in this
we
picture-
didn't expect anybody to have survived.
Rusia and Gisela.
Yeah, this is, yeah, my uncles, that's my aunt and my cousin. Yeah, he survived, the only one who survived of I don't know how many children they had, how many brothers and sisters my father had, about 8 or 9 sisters. He had one Jacob, there is the left-hand side, sitting, survived. All the other people, they
They were
got
all
killed.
So, sorry, let me just go back to that for a second. So then you moved to the United States?
Yeah, that's right. We moved to the United States in 1949. 1949.
And
Can
your
you still
sister,
hear me?
yeah. And your sister stayed in Italy because
Yeah,
she
my
was married.
sister, who married, of course, the commander of the partisan, they had a good life in Italy. They stayed in Italy, so that's what happened.
Hmm. And you were living in the Boston area?
Yes, we arrived in New York. They helped us because we didn't have any funds, but they said we cannot put us up for a couple of weeks, and they told us that the other places in the United States have more funds to get us going, So that's where we ended up in Boston.
Hmm. And is that where you met Hella, your wife?
Yeah, I met Hella there, you're right. Yeah,
Mhm.
she,
And some of you saw her on the screen earlier with her testimony because Hella had been in Auschwitz.
yeah, she was in Auschwitz. She was telling the story of how she was. She's on a we are both on the internet. They made a video,
So you have a hat on that says 8th Army Korea.
Yeah, that's my 8th. I was 3 years in the service.
Hmm. So you decided, you volunteered, right?
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
volunteer, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And then what did you do after that? And after your service,
yes, I went. Yeah, after the service, I went to school in Boston. Because I had a GI Bill, and so I could go to school. And then to Northeastern University Engineering School. They had a co-op plan, which is very nice. You could earn money while you go to school, but it lasts you long. It took you longer to graduate, of course, but that was, so that was good anyway. That way.
hmm. So now you've been living in Naples for a while, and
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
spoken and told your story to adults, but also to lots of school groups.
Yeah.
Here's some of the kids that you've spoken to.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of the lessons that you think it's important for the school kids?
Well, I
to
think
learn.
it's, what can I say? It's very difficult for me to say it. Sometimes I find it easy, and sometimes I find it very difficult to make suggestions, because once people make up their own minds anyway, as far as that goes. They see, they have a different way. Everyone has a different way of interpreting or assimilating, this the history. So that's
Yeah.
So I find it very difficult.
Well, I've heard you tell many students about the importance of love.
The what?
The importance of love,
Love?
yes,
Well,
rather
that-
than hate.
Oh
And-
yeah. Well, that's important. So that's of course that's what happened. Hatred is what caused led us to the Holocaust essentially. So if and well, I tell you, Hella said, my wife, she said she said always, that's what's going to happen, that what hate leads to that, So, and because we went to after I got out of school, I started working, and a couple of years later, I was asked since they knew I had certain language abilities, if it's okay. I was an electrical engineer. We was working for the Department of Defense, United States Department of Defense. So they asked me if it's okay for me to go to Italy and Germany to help them build a system over there against the Russian invasions or whatever. So I said, no problem, I would, but I have to ask my wife. I don't want to go to Germany unless she comes with me. And I asked her, she said, no problem. She had no problems to go to Germany. So as a matter of fact, that we went there, and then we went 1 year to Italy, 1 year to Germany. No problems at all, as far as Germany goes. So that was okay. So that's essentially her attitude towards, about her experiences in Auschwitz, Because, these people are, you cannot blame the children for the crimes of their parents or grandparents, essentially. That's what her, that's essentially what,
Right.
if I missed something.
All right. No, you did great. Would you like to take a few questions?
Yes, of course.
Yes. Any questions? In the back?
Yes, when he traveled to Italy, who did he get the documents from, and what was the process?
Oh yeah, good question. We had to, we had false papers to go to South America, Colombia or whatever, Bolivia, and then since the war already started, no transportation was going on between Germany and Danzig or Germany and anywhere. So we had an excuse to go to Italy, to embark in Italy. Hopefully, although we could not, that doesn't matter. But anyway, so we had an excuse. So we only needed a transit visa to Italy. No, they knew we were going to stay permanently there, so it was okay for them to provide a transit visa. So that was the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Did I answer it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Over here? Yeah. Can you stand up so we can hear you?
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Oh, that's better.
Okay. How the current rise in fascism worldwide, what is your opinion of that?
What is your opinion of the current rise of fascism in the world today?
Here we go again.
Yeah, in the back there?
Yes, have you been back, or did you go back to Italy to visit your companions?
Did you visit any old friends in Italy when you went back?
Well, I didn't have any really established any friends. We always, one way or the other, didn't have a chance to do that, But,
So just your sister's
they
family?
were all friendly anyway.
There's another one in the back.
Yes, I just, how many languages are you versed in, and how did you come to become so fluent in English?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's German, Italian, and English.
Yiddish.
My father was fluent in many more languages because the Jews were always on the run.
You also speak Yiddish, right?
Yeah, well, Yiddish, yeah. But my father, you see, here's a story. My father originated from a very religious family, Hasidic family, who communicated in Yiddish. Now, what the reason? I don't know if you know the reason for them to do that was because they reserved Hebrew to speak to God. You see, and even in Israel now, the Hasidic, the very religious people, all communicate amongst themselves in Yiddish. So they only do it, use Hebrew to speak to God. That's the situation. I don't know if I did the right. Did I answer the right?
So,
So
So did
anyway.
you learn English after you moved to the United States, or did
Yes,
you know
after-
English?
Yeah, I knew. Oh, yeah. We studied in school, to English and English. No, wait a minute. No, it was Hebrew. No, it was not English. English was Hebrew and Polish because we are near the. No, okay. So essentially, I
You
knew
learned-
a few words, but that's
When you came here?
yeah.
Oh.
There's no.
Question over here. Yes, young man.
Are you named after a brand of ketchup? Wait, is a ketchup brand named after you?
There we go.
That's the way I think it worked. I would be rich, huh?
Yeah. Monica?
I have actually two questions. The partisans that you were with, were they Italian or were there Jewish people amongst it? And
The partisans, were they Italian or were they a variety of people?
That's a good question because there were a lot of people, because you see.
Use the microphone.
I'm sorry. Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, you see, when Italy stopped its allegiance with 8th of September 1943 with Germany, they opened up all the concentration camps and all the prisoners of war camps. So when the Germans occupied some of these people went to the mountains, be it the English prisoners of war, American and so forth, so Polish prisoners and so forth. So we had a variety of people in the mountains with us. Yes, that's right.
And in view of the fact that your father was so orthodox, what does Judaism mean to you?
Oh, he stopped his orthodoxy a long time before that.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but
Yeah, because
how did that affect
yeah,
your
because
Judaism?
he stopped being religious when he saw what's going on and I said, forget that, forget the religion, it doesn't work too well, That's right. Yeah.
And is that what you believe too? Or
I believe what my wife said to me. and she said, God was not in Auschwitz.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't want to disturb anybody's religious beliefs, So I'm not responsible. Please.
All right.
Yeah.
We have another question over here, Heinz.
After the war, were you in a DP camp, and what organization brought you over to the United States? Was it HIAS, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, or some other non-government organization that brought you to the United States?
Yeah, there was the Jewish agency, I think, involved in that process, you know. Yeah, the Jewish agency was involved in that process of bringing people to a variety of places. Now,
Were you in a DP camp?
Yes, he was.
yeah,
Yes.
that's right. Now, I was, as far as, now, let me tell you a little bit
The
about...
DP camp
just-
was in Milan, right?
Yeah, Milan. No, that was, yeah, Milan or whatever, they moved the DP camp down south after a while.
Oh.
Yeah, I can tell you a little story about me being stateless. My father, you see, in after World War I, do we have the time?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, if you have the time, let me know. If you don't have the time, anyway. So after the World War I, in Danzig, all the inhabitants of Danzig were given the opportunity to have their own to get the birth. I mean the citizenship of their birthplace or not. Okay, so my father being born into Poland, and he didn't want to be Polish, so he chose to be stateless. So of course it made us stateless. So I came over on a stateless passport, a Red Cross passport. It was stateless, you know, a stateless Red Cross passport. Here,
Or you have it in your bag?
I show you. For those who have the time to see it. Here are some documents you can look at, you can make photos of, whatever. But anyway, I want to show you, yeah. This is what a stateless Red Cross passport looked like.
Huh.
If you haven't seen it.
Yeah, here, we'll leave it here, people can see.
Yeah.
All right, how about one more question? And then we'll let people talk to Heinz individually and others can tour around, right here in the front.
And I was wondering, were you reunited with your father in that DP camp that came over? Did you all come over with your mother and your younger sister and your dad?
Yeah, I have an older, my sister. Yeah, my sister was the oldest one. My son, my brother was the youngest one, and so we joined him, as I said, in San Ginesio, where he was sent because of his illness and stomach problems. You know, it's San Ginesio. There was a nice little town there. But, you know, is that what I'm...
And then you all came to America together, except for your sister Ruth.
Yes, yeah. Oh, yeah, we all... then, after the war, we went to DP camp, and then from there, we went to the United States. Yeah, right.
So do you want to show your book?
Oh, yeah, I have written a book about it.
So... this is Heinz's story. We have a few copies for sale here at the museum. He's in the process of getting more printed. So if we run out and you would like to purchase one, just leave your name at the desk and we can let you know when more are available.
Yeah, I did all this, put together, and I
Self-published.
donated it to the Holocaust Museum, you know, so that's how they got rich.
Heinz, thank you. Thank you so much.